What's up guys, Ed Ricker here, and we are at Johnston Lake with my sister Stephanie, and I hope it's not too windy right now. I apologize for any wind noise, but what we're doing today is flying the drone, and we're gonna try this new lens cover that's gonna help us reduce some of the lens flare when you're flying in sunny days like this.
We hope.
So yeah, hopefully, do you think it's gonna work, Steph?
Signs point to yes.
Okay, signs point to yes. I'm gonna use the Polar Pro filters here. I'm gonna probably use the ND8 with polarizer right now. All right, so this slips right over just like the plastic thing that you get when you buy the drone, and you can see it kind of shields the lens and the gimbal from sun, from the left and the right, and a little bit from above, but mainly from the sides.
Also, I'm back at the house. I want to look at some of this footage in full screen mode so we can really see the details, see if there's any sun flares. Plus, it was getting so freaking windy out there that you couldn't even hear what we were talking about. The first shot we took was without the sunshade, and you can see in the lower right there is a bit of a flare there going on. And then I tried to get the same shot with the shade on, or the same angle anyway from the sun, and I noticed it was still there, and that kind of was a little disappointing. So I thought, well, maybe it's just the time of day. You know, we're shooting with the sun very high in the sky, and if you look at the way that the shade is shaped, it doesn't actually protect very much from anything above. It's more for like side protection of sun flares and stuff. So I decided to go out again later on in the day. Now Stephanie wasn't with me later on in the day, but she did buy me lunch, so thank you. And you can see in these examples that the initial first beam of light that hits seems to be caught by the sunshade, but everything else after that kind of looks exactly the same. There were a few shots where I didn't even really notice much of a difference. This one here on the ground, I'm actually hand holding the drone as I pan to try and get the same speed of pan. Now, one thing I did notice is that it seems to work better if your gimbal is pointed upward a little more. Now, since the walls of the little lens hood obviously block it up to a point, you kind of see the sun all of a sudden pop through, as opposed to a gradual lens flare that kind of eases into the footage. So that might be a little more jarring if you did have to pan into the sun. All of a sudden, boom, you see the flare, and maybe before you would have seen it gradually come into the shot. But I think it's also easier to see when you do get a lens flare, because with the sunshade, it seems like there's either flare or there's not. And so you can really see in your phone or your screen or whatever you're using with the controller, the difference when it happens. You can really see, boom, all of a sudden there's a flare. Okay, we need to back off, we need to turn a little bit. As opposed to when you don't have that lens hood, you might have the faintest of lens flare and not notice it because of your small screen. With that said, however, I did notice that just as the flare is peeking through, you see a little bit of flickering, and I think it's from the propellers. Somehow they are interacting with the cover, maybe in a way, maybe the cover is reflecting a little bit of light off of the propellers. I'm not really sure, but I do get this odd flickering just at the very edge of when flares are starting to come into the screen. You might occasionally see the hood in the shot as you fly relatively quickly in normal mode. However, if you're in sport mode, oh hell yeah, you'll see it all over the place. So for how cheap it is, I would recommend it just to have in your arsenal, just in case you need to get a certain shot at a certain angle, but I wouldn't suggest just slapping it on all the time. All right guys, that's pretty much it. Subscribe if you like the video, because I'm making videos like this all the time. Also like and comment if you got something to say. And until next time, happy flying.